everybody, it's hurricane season. Are you prepared? So this is Meagan Cortes with Elite Realty.
And Stephen.Skomp with Goosehead Insurance.
And today we're going to talk about hurricane season, flood policies, and things that you need to do to prepare yourself for hurricane season.
Yeah guys, hurricane season's already started, so the best day to get this stuff prepared and set up was already probably about a couple weeks ago. So we just really want to clear up and make sure everybody's clear on what's going on.
So let's first talk about flood insurance and that versus homeowners coverage, and what's the difference and what's covered under those different policies.
So the biggest one we got to start with is going to be in Texas. None of the dwelling / HO3 homeowners policies at all are going to cover flood. So unless you specifically reached out to an agent or the person that basically handles your homeowners insurance, you're not going to have flood coverage on anything.
Okay. So Houston is considered a bayou city. Is that a factor people need to consider when buying flood insurance?
Always. Really, the closer you are to any kind of body of water, the higher your risk is going to be in that situation. They also take into account your elevation and whatnot. If your home is on a low foundation, that could be cause of it too. But yeah, normally when you're close to a river, any kind of bayous, or the Gulf lakes too, you're going to have a higher risk on your home for flood.
Awesome. So I know we're located in the Montrose area right now. When I'm looking on HAR MLS, the real estate agents flood maps, we're looking at a low, out of special flood area. So would this area be considered low?
So the Montrose area I know is going to be a mix of high risk and low risk, low moderate risk area. But the biggest thing we're seeing, especially since Harvey, a lot of the maps have been redone, and you're really going to be hard pressed to find anywhere in Houston now. And I'm talking all of Houston, so upwards of Conroe, all the way down in Lake City, all the way further out, even further past, further west from Katy. Pretty much everything is going to be low to moderate now, and low to moderate risk in the entirety of Texas makes up about 25% of all claims right now. So it's definitely something that we always try and push to make sure our new homeowners have.
Awesome. When I'm starting the search for people, they're looking at a home, I look on the HR MLS flood maps that real estates have on our website. What's a good place for people to go to look online to see what flood zone the house is in that they're looking at?
So obviously this is going to be my shameless plug. Always call me, Goosehead Insurance. I can put my number, all of that's going to be, my information's all at the bottom. Flood quotes take less than 10 minutes from beginning to the end to write for you. It's even quicker to get them set up. So yeah, but pretty much anytime, any kind of information on that is going to be easily accessible by an insurance specialist such as myself. The great news about working with somebody like me is I'm a broker. So instead of individually reaching out to one agent, I'm actually able to pretty much shop the entire market. I work with pretty much every big name brand on flood insurance, including any NFIP or FEMA backed carriers. So yeah, your best way to reach out your best way to do this is going to be to reach out to an agent of your choice, but hopefully it's me.
Yeah, I agree. I would say I direct people that way to get the best answer, the best resources. Going to the FEMA website to look at their flood maps, just to get an initial start, but going to an agent to get more accurate information for sure.
So anytime somebody's looking at buying a new home, or maybe they're reshopping for their homeowner's insurance, we always have a quote ready. We always explain that because you don't want to get in the middle of the summer, your house is filled with flood waters, and then you have no coverage, and that's something you would have to do completely out of pocket. And 6 inches of water damage is going to be upwards of $85,000 to $100,000 worth of damage right there.
Wow. And I know people that when they're in a low risk area or a lower risk area, they usually make the decision not to buy flood insurance. But I tell people to expect that they're going to need to buy flood insurance and that they're going to get it at a lower rate, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it does vary quite a bit. They take into account how your house is built, the elevation of it, what the foundation looks like. But typically, low risk to low to moderate risk is going to cost anywhere from $400 to $700.
Okay, so if someone so we're expecting maybe a storm to come into Houston, how much time does someone have insurance? And how long does it take for it to come into effect?
So the biggest one is going to be for anything that's government backed, so any NFIP or FEMA policies,
Okay.
FEMA backed policies. They're going to be a 30-day wait time. There's really no wiggle room around that. You're going to have to wait 30 days. The only way you can reduce that is by either going with a private flood provider, just a name drop such as Neptune. They do as short as 7 days, or if you're a new home purchase. So if your closing date is tomorrow and there's a hurricane that's going to be coming through, we know there's a hurricane coming through in the next 4 or 5 days, we're actually able to waive the waiting period based on your closing date. However, there's no wiggle room here. You have to provide proof that you just bought the house, that you just closed on the house, and that has to be uploaded immediately to get immediate coverage.
Okay, and what are some things people can do to prepare before a storm or a flood for their cars, for their home, to prevent any further damage?
So the great thing is all of our flood providers, flood carriers, actually provide coverage to do preventative work. So in the event that a flood is coming and you're able to get to the store and buy, 1,500 pounds of sandbags, they'll actually pay for you to buy those sandbags. They'll reimburse you because you're going through an active effort to protect your home from further damage.
Okay, so creating like a barrier, and I think you can do research online and see ones that are already made as well. What about boarding up your windows? Would that be more under wind protection, or how would that work for someone?
So wind protection, preventative measures aren't going to protect you from, like, say, putting up plywood and tape on your windows. A lot of the wind hail damages that come out are going to go into your roof and like the side panelings on your house kind of situation. Now, if you have a window that busts through and you come in the middle of the storm and put something up, that counts as preventative measures under those, and those would be covered.
And so that's after the claim comes in and they're considering all
No, that's
those.
in the middle of the storm.
In the middle of
so
the
like
storm.
if you're in the middle of the storm and you're watching your house kind of just get battered, then this is for people that for whatever reason decided to stay. If you're watching it and you're taking measures to prevent it, like you're putting up more plywood, you're cleaning up the mess, you're going through those will be covered.
Okay. And I'll also include a link in this post to the CDC. It's always good to have emergency water, emergency food prepared before any storm happens, but we're in hurricane season right now. Having an emergency kit with emergency phone numbers, medical information, and having a plan ready for evacuation if that is something that you need to do. So I'll put some more information in the post about that as well.
And guys, don't stay in the house during the hurricane. Your homeowner's policy doesn't cover any kind of help to you. I know medical payments is on a lot of HO3 policies today, but that counts for liability for other people that get hurt on your property. If you think you're going to stay in your home and then you getting hurt is going to be covered under your policy, that's just not true. The best course of action is to not be in your home in the event of a storm, because you're just not covered under any kind of health injuries in that situation.
And I think right now is a good time to start researching the exit or the evacuation routes out of Houston and coming up with the plan. If you're going to stay in a hotel and you have pets, a hotel that will have a pet-friendly place for you to stay, or friends and family out of town. So that way, when you're in the middle of a panic or in a high stress state of mind, that you can get out of there already knowing what your plan is, already having your emergency kit ready to go as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, talk a little bit more about cars and what people can do to help with coverage for that.
So big one, a lot of questions we hear is, in the event of a flood, what happens with my car if it gets destroyed or flooded completely and I need to total it? And this is big for people that only have liability-only policies. If you don't know what that means, you probably either have better coverage or you don't have coverage at all. But basically what it means is you're not covered under collision or comprehensive. Now in the event of a flood, that damage is going to go under comprehensive because it's technically property damage. If you don't have a comprehensive deductible on your policy, you do not have comprehensive coverage, which means you only have liability, which means if your car gets taken down the road and it counts as the total vehicle because it flooded, you're not covered. You need to make sure you have comprehensive coverage on that auto policy.
So I I think this is really great information. Anything else that you can share? What about renters or tenants? What can they do?
So for my people that are renting policies out there, you could go ahead and get your own flood policy. You can do it with zero dwelling coverage and do 100% contents. However, you can also reach out to your landlord and see what they have set up. If the landlord buys a property in a high-risk flood zone, they are going to be required to have a flood policy. Now, if they don't provide furnishing in your house, there's a good chance that the policy they buy is not going to include contents on there, which means your stuff inside your house, which is important for those who rent, is not going to be covered. So like I said, you can always get an individual flood policy that covers only contents for yourself, but your best course of action is to reach out to your landlord and find out what kind of policies they have intact, because oftentimes landlords do skip on flood policies entirely if they're not required. So definitely something you should look into.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Stephen, so much for your time and providing this information today. I know I've experienced many evacuations just living in Houston. I think this is something that people should expect to plan for, and it's good to start now. And just from our conversation today, I know that I've learned a little bit more, and I feel a little bit more prepared.
Yeah, thanks for having me out. I love doing this stuff. All of my stuff will be in the description, anything contact-wise. If you have questions, don't hesitate to email or text me, because this is important. A lot of people's livelihoods can be affected by this in the blink of an eye, because floods happen in 30 minutes. I can also put a digital agent lead link that will basically allow you to go in, kind of give yourself an idea of what it might cost for you. I know with flood policies, that is the easiest one on the digital agent, because it pretty much will be super accurate because it's based on location. It's not going to take in your credit reports. It's not going to take in any insurance history. It's just going to be based on location. But yeah, all my information will be down below. Anybody, definitely feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'd love to answer any questions you have.
Awesome. And it sounds like you said you could get it done in 5 minutes or less?
Yeah.
Okay.
Flood quotes, literally, 10 minutes. It takes me 10 minutes to write up a flood quote and get it set up for y'all. Now, you do need to remember, a lot of people do escrow and whatnot. You cannot escrow a flood policy in unless it's high risk. If it is anything less than a high risk flood policy, you are going to be paying it directly out of pocket on the year. So that's something you're going to have to kind of budget in. But $700 to make sure you're avoiding thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in water damage and flood damage in your home. It just makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen clients that had flood insurance that after Harvey, their home was completely renovated for low cost for them, and then I've seen people on the other side of it where they didn't have coverage. So I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for your time.
Yeah. Awesome.
See y'all later, everyone.
Bye, guys.